Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the latest edition of You Get What You Get. I'm Rickey Hampton with my friends Tree McDougal and Tim Turner coming to you on a special evening, Thursday night. Uh, Not our Tuesday night slot, but we wanted to make sure we got with you guys this week. Hope everybody's had a great week, and it's good to see you, Tree. Good to see you, Tim. A lot of good things to discuss on the docket tonight. And let's just get right. Well, first of all, catch up with you guys, see how everybody's doing.
I was okay. And then you just said, good to see you, Tim, but I was left out of the equation. But
Oh,
in case
Tree.
you're wondering, I'm fine.
Please. Let me tell you,
Just in
Tree.
case you want to know.
Tree, that is my fault because it's always better to see you than Tim Turner.
I don't know
Every
about
day of the
that, but I'm
week
just
and
saying,
twice on Sundays. It's
I was
better
feeling
to
some
see
kind of
Tree
way.
McDougal than Tim Turner.
I'm good. I'm goodish. Tim and you.
I'm good too. There you go.
It's good to see both of you.
it's,
So there.
it's good to see everybody here. Here in Motown, everybody is just about over that heartbreaking loss to the 49ers last weekend. Nobody's been run out of town. Both coordinators will be coming back next year, so they're going to saddle it up and try to do it all over again. But as Dan Campbell said after the game, man, it's hard getting in these positions when you let one slip away. It's hard to get back. But nonetheless, a great year for the Lions, going 14-5 and losing in the NFC title game.
Oh yeah, that was hard. It just had such a familiar ring to it.
Yeah.
It was a painful familiar ring to it. Getting all giddy at halftime and thinking, here we go, here we go.
Yeah, we're making. Hey, man, I'm calling my buddies, man. We're going to Vegas, man. Let's get some flights.
All I was thinking about that, I'm going, man. I said,
But
am I watching the Falcons? Is that what I'm watching?
but here's one thing I do want to say about the game. People are getting out on Campbell because he was playing scared. He was coaching scared. So he coached every game of every year of every season. They go for it all the time. Does anybody remember the wild card game against the Rams? 4th and 2. The Lions went forward and scored a touchdown, and they won the game 24-23.
I don't.
That's what you get with that guy.
Get what you get.
He pushed it. You get what you get with
said
Dan
it.
Campbell.
You said it. Yeah. My thing is though, points of pressure. Points of pressure.
Yeah.
You score more points than the other guy. That makes him have to do something different. But man,
But the thing,
I thought at the time it was a bad move, even though he'd been doing it all year, and I was all for him until that game. I was like, "Oh no, man, you got to get these points. You got to get these points. You got to get these points."
do you know how many field goals the Lions attempted this year?
Sounds like about 8.
12.
There we go. A dozen field goals.
I mean, this is what they do. It drives you crazy. But my thing, whatever the coach calls, you must go out there and execute it, Josh Reynolds. So catch the ball that's right in your hands to keep that drive going.
Bro, man needed to walk back home. Okay?
I know. I saw your text after that. I mean, because if they call you on to kick the field goal, make the field goal. Whatever the play is called, you must execute it. But a great run from Detroit, man. It was so excited here because nobody around here is old enough to experience anything but people like me who was around in 92 when
Right.
they last played for the NFC title game. And, over in Baltimore, I thought that was just, I was stunned that that the Ravens struggled like they did against the Chiefs, losing that game 17-10.
Yeah, I was too. You know what? That's why I can't root for. It seems like whenever I root for a team, I don't want to feel like I'm the bad luck person. But whenever I root for a team, I get excited about it, and then they lose, and I'm just like, I'm out. I can't.
Hello, Vegas. Remember, Tree McDougal, the other way. So,
Just,
but
I
I see
can't.
Stephen
It hurts.
It hurts.
So what?
No,
It
no,
hurts you bad.
Stephen A. Smith came out and was, pretty much blaming Lamar for the loss. And again, it wasn't him that got the personal foul, taunting the guy on the drive and wiping out a humongous gain by spinning the ball and pushing the cat down. And then on the same drive, stretches the ball out and gets it and fumbles it through the end zone. But no,
it's a team effort.
It's all on, but it's on Lamar though. He threw a bad pick in the triple coverage. Fine, one. He had a fumble with a dude. I'm looking at number 79 now. Every time I see that film where he just got beat like he stole something, comes around and hits the ball, knocks it out of Lamar's hand. I mean, that wasn't his fault. The dude.
That's Ronnie Stanley, who's one of the best left tackles.
He got beat.
And he got beat, yeah.
And that wasn't Lamar's fault.
No. But what it is, Tree and Tim, as you guys know, it is
you win
hard,
together or
man.
you lose together, right?
It's hard. Getting to those games is hard. And then when you got a great one out there like Mahomes, man, these guys are difference makers. The touchdown pass he threw to Kelsey, it may have been the second one, where the Ravens safety had blanketed Kelsey. He had one little spot open to his right, and Kelsey Mahomes puts it right there.
Yeah, and I don't know who 11 was, and the guy that catches the ball is falling on his back, and it's like the ball that hit off the cat's face mask in the Detroit game. Okay, my goodness, that
should have been an interception, man. Come on. Yeah. But I mean, you got. He's one of those kind of guys that, I mean, Mahomes comes around. He's like Jordan was doing that stretch when the Bulls could not be beat. That Michael was going to find a way to beat you,
right,
and keep you. Michael Jordan kept a lot of good players from winning championships. I look at golf and Phil Mickelson, who has 5 majors, but if Tiger Woods wasn't around, he'd have 10 at least.
Well, that's a lot of people in the East would have been like that. But I know I lived in Houston when Michael was coming back from his sabbatical, I think Orlando knocked them out when he had just come back. Houston back-to-back championships. Thanks, Mike, because I don't think Houston would have won back-to-back championships had Jordan been playing basketball.
They might have got one because the dream was something else now.
All right, he was awesome.
He was an absolute problem. But yeah, I mean, sometimes you come around and people are just better than you.
Right.
And Mahomes is just better. And Tree, I think Mahomes will be better in Vegas next weekend when they play the 49ers.
I'll be okay with that. I don't know. Sometimes I get tired of seeing. It depends. Like same people winning. Somebody else, but I was gonna say that I was tired of seeing the pop star and the football player from the other team, but now I think I'm just on board. I don't really care. It doesn't really matter.
It matters. America is taking sides on this one. You got folks who are Team Swiftie, and those who think she's going to tell her minions to all vote for Biden, which is why there's some other people who have now just started casting all kinds of shade and hate on her. I mean, just some of the most ridiculous conspiracy theories in the free world out there. People can't just have a celebrity thing out there without casting some sort of evil on it, or it's either one way or the other. Who on the 49ers? I mean, those folks are in a quandary because San Francisco has a whole bunch of them other folks, so you can't root for them.
Right.
You can't root for Kansas City because you got Taylor Swift over there. So my thing was, I said earlier, I thought all y'all stopped watching football when Cap took a knee.
Yeah.
You're back? Are you back? What's up?
I never listened to any of her music, but maybe I'll start now.
Yes.
So, I don't know.
Really? I might know one Taylor
become a Swiftie. I don't know. I've never heard any music.
None of her music, but now I'm like, yes. If there's contempt from the other side just for some foolishness, I'm all for it.
But I got a clip from the Colin Cowherd show. I want to play.
Yeah.
The fact that a pop star, the world's biggest pop star, is dating a star tight end who had one of his greatest games ever, and a network puts them on the air briefly, that it bothers you, what does that say about your life? Judge people sometimes on the silly stuff that bothers them. It'll tell you a lot about them. When I hear this whole thing about Taylor Swift, I just want to watch football. Liar. You're lying. That's not true. A football telecast is not just football. In fact, the commercials for 4 hours before the Super Bowl will be widely watched. Did you know statistically in a 3.5-hour NFL playoff broadcast or regular season broadcast, just 18 minutes are actual football? And we have the data, we have the numbers. You don't turn away. There's coaches cutaways. They show fans in Buffalo on fire, commercials, reviews, 18 minutes of real football. For the record, about the length of 5 Taylor Swift songs. Listen to this. The New York Times measured how long she was actually on the broadcast. Do you know how long it is on average? 25 seconds in 3.5 hours. Against the Ravens, it was up to a whopping 32 seconds. It was 14 Chiefs and Raiders on Christmas, 12 Chiefs and Bengals, 24 seconds, Buffalo, Kansas City. She was on for a minute against the Dolphins, but it was an absolutely awful broadcast. They should have had a concert in the middle of it. That would have been more interesting. And why wouldn't CBS, which has the Grammys, cross-promote the world's biggest pop star? Hey, listen, I worked at the other network. I work at Fox. I've seen us jam people on TV shows I would never watch during football games and sporting events. Don't forget to watch this right after the game. I've already forgot about it. Let's get back to the game. But I don't have to rush to social media. I'm okay with it. Here's the other thing that strikes me. Matthew McConaughey. All right. Love him. Drake on everything. Spike Lee, Knicks games. Eminem, Michigan sporting events. We celebrate it. 80s, 90s, Jack Nicholson Laker games is cool. Saw Jack. But a talented and beautiful woman is on the air, one who would never pay attention to lonely men, and it bothers them. There's a stat out there, it's kind of uncomfortable for you sad guys, that 50% of men never have real intimacy with a woman. That means the other 50% have multiple intimate relationships with women. And those ones that don't are angry and sad and lonely, and they are often misogynistic and resent women who didn't give them the time they think they deserve. We celebrate all these goofballs jumping on.
Okay, I want to come. We'll come back to that. I mean,
Wow.
Well, I mean, and that's courtesy of the Colin Cowherd show. But your reactions to that, Tree?
Well, I'm not a lonely man, so I don't know if I have a comment on that. But I think what people are reacting, if those are the actual stats, which I don't have any reason to believe there's not, of the actual time that she's been on the air. I think the other part of it is all the social media posts and the news coverage, which makes it probably seem like she's more shown than actual time, because every newscast, every article, is constantly showing them So the perception might be that they're showing her more than more than the time that's actually she's on air. But if you guys want to speak for the non-lonely men, what do you think?
But you know what I thought about, Tim? I thought about you.
Oh, really?
No, I thought about when you were.
Are you
I
lonely
thought
or unlonely?
I thought when you were editor down in Jackson, Tennessee, at the Jackson Sun,
Mhm.
and you were accused of putting too many black people
Yeah,
on the front page of your section.
right, right.
And when you and you actually went and looked it up, and it was just a small percentage. But
No. It's not like I actually went there. I was told to go back and pick up a month's worth of papers and see how many blacks and whites there were on there. So it was like 1/3 white, 1/3 illustration, 1/3 black.
I mean, hey,
And it
but
wasn't something that was a conscious effort. It was just how it fell. But
right, right.
I see too many of y'all. It's it's got to be an NBA game or something. I don't know. you know.
Gotta
But
cut back. Gotta cut back.
Yes.
but do you see how that relates to what
Yeah.
Colin was just saying?
Because nobody says nothing about Spike on the court on the sidelines of the next game. You come to expect it. You come to expect to see Jack at a Laker game. You come to expect to see Drake doing something foolish in Toronto. Yes, you're looking for those things. Heck, back in the 70s and 80s, back in my day, you had the dude with the multicolored fro at every Monday night football game. Nobody said to get rid of him and his multicolored fro.
You guys remember the John 3:16 guy?
But that's him. That's the dude.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
That's him. And anytime the Jets are on television, they show this clown in his fire hat. Fireman Ed.
Right.
Nobody's saying get him off of there. That it's a conspiracy. So come on.
I mean, you have lots of celebrities that go to games. It's just the fact that I think that one, she's dating him, and they show her, but I'm thinking about Simone Biles, and she's dating a football player.
But the Packers advanced. Her husband plays for the Packers. Heaven help us. They show her more than once. And he jokingly said that he was a celebrity.
Nobody's talking about that.
No, nobody's talking about that.
Nobody's talking about that. I mean, they did a little bit, but it's more like she's supporting her man. And then on the other side, it's like she's been seen too much, Miss Swift. So
I just think it's insane.
What do you think, Rick?
Well, I think it's all part of this whole deep state right wing thing we got going in this country today. That somehow this is all a deep state ploy to get people to vote for the next president and to reelect the current president, because we know Taylor Swift is not going to support.
Get it right. They're going to come after you if you don't get it right.
Yeah, the incumbent. I mean, it's kind of sad where we are today.
But it's the conspiracies, Rick, that make it crazy. One morning I was in the gym and during the 2016 election, and there's this sweet old lady on this bike, this elliptical trainer behind me on the thing, and she was talking to this guy. They were just talking loud. She said, "Now they're gonna let all them illegals come across here from the South in time for the election, so they can all vote Democrat." Wow, what kind of craziness is that? It's like they can just roll up in there and just go into the polling place and vote. It's a little bit more nuanced than that. And I saw something today that said everything is. Yes, yeah.
It said a lot.
Everything's a conspiracy if you don't understand anything. and that's pretty much the point. If you don't know what's going on, everything's a conspiracy. Why did you move that cup of water? Conspiracy. That kind of thing.
Yeah, it's pretty bad when you think we got a story that took place where Jackie Robinson's statue was just vandalized, and
Mhm.
you know, I think where is it? Wichita place?
Wichita,
They,
Kansas, yeah.
they stole the doggone
Stole
statue.
it, burned it, and dismembered it. But Major League Baseball plus the 30 teams in the league are going to restore it and put it back. But again, it's like, here we are. February is 2 weeks, really, maybe two and a
Yeah,
half. Spring training. We're here. And,
yeah,
there's like almost no African Americans in baseball. But the one that the one that broke the color barrier, we're going to tear down his statue and make a mess of
yeah,
it. And
yeah.
that's what we are.
For Black History Month too.
Absolutely. And that's what it
Yeah.
is. And it's a painful thing to think about. That it's like that kind of enmity is going on, and it's like I thought multiculturalism was really great. I mean, we celebrate teams, we celebrate uniforms. I guess it's the uniforms instead of the people that are inside of it, if that's what the case is. If you really don't
that makes
support the players.
Here's a picture of the Jackie Robinson statue that was ripped down and stolen.
Mm.
Uh, just terrible. And Tim, and you mentioned that about the lack of black baseball players in the MLB, and I was shocked with the picture you sent me from Ebony. Was that '68, where they said, "Are there too many blacks in Major League
Yes,
Baseball?"
exactly. I'm like, really? They
Dang.
won't say that now. They'll say, "Where you at in Major League Baseball?" That would be on the front of the Ebony if it was still in print like it was.
Where did they go?
Yeah, where did they go?
Well, a lot of them in the NBA and NFL. I mean, as we well know, they just not choosing baseball to the degree they once did. And I think a lot of people don't realize how expensive it is to play that game now.
No, they don't. And it's cost prohibitive for talented people. So I understand what that is, because if you're not one of these showcases or doing stuff like that, um, uh, baseball players are middle class for the most part, middle class or wealthy. Are you familiar with this company, Gentech in San Francisco? It's a multi-billion-dollar company. There was a kid that was an Aflac All-American whose dad started that company. He was already wealthy, but he was a great pitcher. But the idea is, they had the money to go around the country and have your boy play ball, or even have the best trainers or the best everything of these people. So it's a difficult sport, but just needed to cherish it now, because I'm already getting excited. It's baseball season. February is baseball. There'll be no more months without baseball until November rolls around again. So, let's get excited about that. But, first we got the Super Bowl, and we got all these NFL hires. I mean, good gosh. And they made a final one after our notes came out, that Dan Quinn, defensive coordinator for the Cowboys, former Falcon head coach, is now the head coach of the Washington Commanders.
Yeah,
Oh, really?
Yes, he was named today. So there's been with him is in there. I think all the jobs are taken now, and if you're keeping score, it's you got three minority. Well, you got 1, 2, 3,
Raheem Morris.
four not minority coaches, because Morris in Atlanta, Dave Canales is Hispanic,
Right.
and so that's another. And you got Antonio Pierce is no longer interim. He is the guy in Vegas, and Patriots had Jared Mayo. So NFL is doing a better job than they had been in the past in terms of opportunities for people. I guess there are a lot of perfunctory Rooney Rule interviews as usual. Really, really interesting that I didn't see Eric Bieniemy's name out there anywhere.
And do you think they'll say, like, you said about baseball, you think they got too many black people or coaches? You know, let's hope not.
They'll say that just like if these cats are like 0-7 coming out the gate, it's like it's too many, y'all. It's way too many.
I
No, it's
wanted
gonna
to
be great.
I wanted to get to the point to where it is in the NBA where I don't even know. I don't even know how many blacks coaches there are. When one
Or
gets
players,
fired,
yeah.
one gets fired. I don't know.
Right.
Mm. So
Because
Tim, how do you feel about Mr. Morris for the
Raheem is great.
Pelicans?
He's great.
Your Pelicans.
They're going to win. Raheem is going to take them to the Super Bowl next year.
Oh, let me write that down.
So who's going to be their quarterback?
So that's already in the works. Too many people. The cat's out the bag on all of that. Russ is coming to Atlanta. Russell Wilson. Once he's let go in March, he'll be a Falcon. So that's going to happen because I understand Justin Fields probably gone in Chicago. The top 3 teams are going to take quarterbacks. And so the guy who I want them to take is probably going to be gone. Jalen Daniels of LSU. He's just perfect for what Atlanta's trying to do. But he'll probably go Chicago. Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
Perfect. How so? You say he's perfect for Atlanta. How so?
He's been there before. He was on the staff of the team that went to the Super Bowl. He's been a coach on offense and defense. He's an outstanding defensive tactician. The players love him. They play hard for him. When he was there the first go around, when Dan Quinn got fired in Atlanta, they started 0-5, and Raheem came in and they actually perked up. They didn't have the talent that they needed to have, but they went 4-7. They won 4 games under him, and they should have never let him out of the building. He was really good, and I think he probably, at that time, I think he might have been 32. He's like in his mid 40s now, and he's got a Super Bowl ring with the Rams. He knows what it looks like, what a winner looks like, what it takes to win. He's bringing with him people from Los Angeles who are from those winning staffs as offensive coordinators. Was a quarterback coach in LA. Defensive coordinators coming over. I think he was on the staff there as well. It looks like a really good hire. People want to say it's a safe hire because he's been in there before, but they weren't going to get some of these other guys, the other coaches.
Would you take Justin Fields if they made a move for him?
No. Do not want him. Do not want him. We had,
I'm not sure how you feel about it.
Tree, I don't want him.
Could you be more clear?
I don't want him here, Tree. I don't. He has a tools and everything that you think you would need to be successful, but I've never seen him win. I haven't seen him win. There's nothing about him that says winner. Only time I saw him win was at Ohio State, and in the biggest game of the year, he didn't win. Granted, that wasn't his fault. Ohio State should have beat Georgia had the kick not gone wide. Georgia was lucky to win that second championship because Ohio State's kick went wide. I think that's what it was.
You know what? I think there's something to that, man. Winning means, even though you're right, the quarterback isn't responsible for everything, but he is the primary catalyst of any really good football team. And for he makes these electric plays, but then he can't hit a guy on a 10-yard slant on third down.
And I will allow this. He has never had the talent that he would have in Atlanta. He's got a really great tight end. In Pitts, got a good receiver in London, great running back in Robinson. The defense is solid. You got some weapons there. It's just I don't know if he would be the guy for that. I would love to see Russ groom somebody. I want to see the Falcons trade up into that one of those top 3 spots and groom a guy. Get the free agent quarterback, and then let Daniels go crazy next year. But I'm not in their front office. They make some really curious head scratching picks, and I would hate to see them this year. Understand the guy Brock Bowers, a tight end from Georgia, is number 8 on a lot of boards this year. Well, the Falcons pick 8, of all the years for them not to pick a Georgia player, people always dog it Falcon for picking not picking Georgia players. This is the year I'm saying don't pick a Georgia player.
I mean, you got Pitts. Why would they won't even consider
Because
it.
he pretty much is a receiver for what it's worth. He doesn't block. He goes out there and catches passes. He's a big guy that catches passes. He'd be a great, let him out there as a receiver all the way. But Bowers is an outstanding talent, but they know they need a quarterback. And if they just do something real crazy, or this guy from Alabama, edge rusher, his name is Turner. And he's like the guy those are the two people that are looking at. So I want to see the edge rusher or a quarterback.
Were you guys surprised? And he spent a lot of time in Atlanta doing this process that Bill Belichick, who many say the greatest coach in the history of pro football, did not get a job. I'm sure he wowed everybody with his personality.
Yes. Yes. And then they brought in Paint, they brought in a big slab of paint drying, and it blew them away in the interview process. much better than what Bill was. I'm glad he didn't get the job. I think that that's a stopgap thing right there. Because the greatest coach in the history of football, asterisk with Tom Brady under center. Because he hadn't won nothing without Tom. Tom won a Super Bowl in Tampa with that stuff down there. He had Gronk. That's all he needed. Just give me Gronk and we're good to go. And it's really surprising that Byron left.
Go ahead. Sorry, finish. No, go ahead. Finish.
So Byron left with offensive coordinator down there, and he hadn't gotten nobody gave him a sniff.
Yeah. But go ahead, Tree. Were you gonna ask something to that regarding Belichick?
Well, not about Belichick. Just think about the other coaches, the new hires. What are your take on those guys? For instance, like Jared Mayo. Am I saying it right? Or is it Gerard?
Well, he's part of that Patriot family, although he said he's going to do it a lot different than Bill. I don't know. He was over there on the defensive side of the ball, and they continue to be very good on defense, even through this downtime. Man, I hate the Patriots, but I hope the brother does well to a certain extent, man. But I do want to kind of take this back to Belichick because the way he handled things, I mean, he was just so just like a mean guy. I mean, just like he certainly did not want to be with the media. We know that. And then people talk about, well, maybe he'll go into the booth and become an analyst. Like, really? Where's that can of paint you were talking about, Tim?
Yeah, really. It's like
he was so short and curt with everybody. I mean, I have no sympathy for this guy at all.
Well, that was kind of cold about that. But, this guy's going to be on the street because of another Patriot. Greg Olsen did a really good job at Fox.
Yeah.
Is the number one analyst. Mm-hmm. But this quarterback who they're paying, I think, $35 million a year, if that's right, Tom Brady is going to be in the booth next fall next to Kevin Burkhardt. Yeah. And so that's going to be interesting because I have not seen anywhere where Tom, is a quarterback. Quarterbacks always get a little bit of a break there because they supposedly break down the X's and O's. I haven't seen Brady ever do anything remotely what Olsen did. And
is Olsen leaving Fox?
I don't know if he's leaving Fox, but he's not going to be on the number one team.
Yeah, right.
He may be on the number two team and see people that get knocked down a peg, that kind of thing. But I thought he was really good. But if I had to pick between he and Romo, it's him. Tony missed a lot this year.
Yeah. And hey, another, I think, probably the most important hire of this whole hiring season, in my mind, did not occur in the NFL. It occurred not very far from where I am in Ann Arbor, Michigan, where Sharon Moore was picked to be the successor to Jim Harbaugh at the University of Michigan. Sharon becoming the first Black head coach in the history of that program. That's just stunning news. Well, it's not really surprising because we knew, and everybody knew he was Harbaugh's right hand guy, and Harbaugh missed 6 games this year, and it was Moore who really guided those teams. Although I think for 1 or 2 games he was not the head coach. They kind of passed it around a couple of times. But to see that man in that job in Ann Arbor, Michigan, is really a historic step for the University of Michigan, not only as a athletic program, but as the university in itself.
And do you think fans will embrace him and alums?
Until he loses.
He don't have to win. He really don't have to win but 1 game.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to win but 1 game.
Yeah.
And he beats Ohio State. He'll never have to buy another meal in Ann Arbor again.
Yeah. Brian Day could tell him all about that. He's lost 3 straight times. I mean, that's right. Really true. I mean, he needs to win that one if he's going to win one. But generally, I think yes, yes, he will. But as we were talking about in one of the earlier blocks, we just got some people in this country, man, that just do not want to see us in any of those kind of positions,
right?
Whatsoever. So I am sure he's going to get some of that along the way. I think about Kevin Summick down at Texas A&M a few years ago. Had that program. They had several successful seasons before he kind of petered out and ended up getting fired. But, I think he lost a big game, and he was getting, don't let that nigga coach. He can't, he was getting all that. And he was winning. He
didn't peter out, though. You had comparables the last couple of years between him and Jimbo Fisher. The same. Or someone's record was better than Jimbo's.
Yeah.
But it's all perception because his brother got this job, that kind of thing, and that kind of hatred because of what's going on. It was insane for that. And with Moore up in Michigan, because you wonder if this is going to keep the NCAA off of Michigan's back, or they're going to be, you wonder if Harbaugh left for San Diego with the house on fire or anything like that, because you don't know what's going on. You don't know if there going to be any sanctions beyond the suspensions that he had during the season. So, so a lot of times these people get these gigs. I think a lot about the newspaper industry. Now that it's in the throes of problems, you see a lot of people getting promoted who weren't promoted before. These other cats taking these golden parachutes and sitting on the beach somewhere in Florida after they've made a mess of things. So, and you wonder if that's the case, because a lot of times you're penalizing the kids who stayed, and that's just wrong.
I wouldn't be surprised if more sanctions or that they find more things and more things come out after the fact. I wouldn't be surprised by that. Because you don't, like I said, you don't know what's coming.
Right.
But they will forget where it came from.
Yeah, dude, and like Tim said, Harbaugh's out in Cali now. No telling what he's gonna sign for out there. Tree. They're gonna give him a boatload to coach the Chargers. So all that's behind him, and he got a national championship.
So. Yeah, he said that there are no Lombardi trophies in college football. Like, dude, college football right now really is unsustainable for what it's worth. You see all these coaches abandoning ship because they no longer have power. They no longer have hand because they got to get up there. Because who was it? I think I was listening to something this morning on the talking radio, and it made a lot of sense. This guy who was head coach of Boston College took a defensive coordinator job, I think, in Baltimore or somewhere like that. And his rationale was, I want to coach again. He said, you can't coach in college football because the season's over. You got to try to keep your players out of the portal. You got to go in the portal and find players, and you got to recruit. That leaves precious little time to actually do any coaching because you sit up there, you got to raise money for your program. You got, it's crazy, and that's too many. Before all you had to do was say, "I got you. I pretty much own you, and I'm gonna coach you until I'm tired of coaching you."
Yeah, but I think, Tim, as a former college athlete, you might agree that it was too far the other way, the old way, right? Where
they had absolute power. They had the. I mean, people don't realize that those scholarships are year to year.
Yeah.
They're not 4-year scholarships. If you stink your first year, you could be gone. Yeah. And exactly.
Get the stuff in.
You gotta go home.
Yeah.
You got to get the hell up out of here.
Exactly. So and it was like that before. And now it's like, if you're sitting the bench on somebody's squad, it's like, that job over there, I could play over at Prairie View, or I could play over at A&M, or I could play at Vanderbilt. Granted, nobody really wants to do that, but I could play at Vanderbilt, or UT, or Tennessee, or somewhere else. That the kids have that latitude now because you don't have to sit out a year and miss a year eligibility or have it delayed. You can go play. NIL is making it impossible for people. I think Florida and Florida State are in trouble over some NIL issues, I believe, when some deals fell through and a kid transferred. I mean, that's just unthinkable before that. It's a financial decision as much as for the love of the game. I want to play for XYZ school.
Hey, Tim. So while we're still talking about college football, what's going on with your school at Morehouse? What?
Like, I heard they were trying to go celebrity route with Hugh Jackson, and somehow I think that's fallen through, is what I'm hearing for them. But what's so painful is there are a lot of people that make quick decisions. They understand that the importance of recruiting. The second recruiting period is in February, I believe. They didn't have a coach in the first recruiting period in the fall. Mm-hmm. Fine, but then and all these other places have made hires. You got kids who are about to leave the program here because they still don't know who their coach is, and I don't blame them. Because it doesn't seem like it's important. It should be job one. It should have happened weeks ago.
Yeah, job one. Here is I
love my school, but we don't even have a football team. So,
your basketball team is awesome, though. Yeah.
But here's a word of caution to these kids who do enter the transfer portal. This is a piece by Dean Golembeski from May of last year. And last year, half the kids who entered the transfer portal did not get picked up by another school.
So then what happens to them?
So they're just
paper or plastic. Paper or
plastic. That's sad.
They're out there. Some of them end up at my son Ricky Jr. coaches junior college basketball. Some of them will come all the way back down to that level, if at all, but they get dispersed to lower levels or just out of the whole system. So, you get in there, and that's the bad thing about it, because I like having a little power, but the bad thing about it, you go, oh man, I haven't played 3 games. I've only gotten 10 minutes each game. I'm transferring.
Right.
Dude, nobody wants you, man. Nobody wants you.
Who's recommending that they transfer into the portal? Who's recommending? Are they just kind of thinking it on their own?
Well, I think it's so new, one.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a good question, because you do need to have somebody that's going to tell you the truth about your game. Are you a marketable commodity on a transfer portal? The University of Michigan basketball team, Hunter Dickinson, 7-1, all Big Ten player 3 years. I think he was All-American 1 year. he transferred out. Everybody wanted him. UCLA, he ended up signing at Kansas. And there was another guy on that roster, I can't even think of his name, that transferred out. I don't even know if anybody picked him up. So,
well, see, the thing is that two things, the most predominant things that make kids go in the portal. One of them is family or family need. The other is just simply looking in the mirror. Your ego is telling you, man, why are you sitting on the bench at this place? You're better than this. You're great. You're smart enough. You're good enough, and doggone people like you.
You're kind. You're smart. You got a great
He
jumper.
He's important.
He's important. He's kind. You're smart. You're as important. You know, you tell yourself that, and then you get out there and realize, you know what? You can shake any tree a jump shot shooter will fall out. Shake a tree and a running back will fall out. You have to have some sort of special talent to hook up with some of these major programs. Granted, in my college, people were saying it's not that important to get a coach during the first part of the recruiting thing, because that's where you're going to get the 5-star players. 5-star players are not coming to the HBCUs, or so they say, unless you're Deion Sanders. People who haven't signed yet, that's the February one, and still you don't have a coach. That's just crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So why would you decide to go somewhere if you don't know who's coaching, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Because you don't know if this guy's going to have your style, what your needs are, whatever's going on. That doesn't make sense. So, you're behind 8 ball again. You go 1-9, and for a third year in a row, you win one game and you beat Clark.
Yeah.
That's it.
Although beating Clark is a good one to get.
Yeah. But why you got to wait till November every year before you start smiling?
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. Hey, speaking of HBCU football, we got news out of Tallahassee where FAMU brought in a new coach. Gosh, what's the guy's name? Tim?
Oh, man. Terrence Graves.
Terrence Graves.
Yes.
Yeah. Terrence Graves has come on the staff at FAMU, who had a great season. Our friend Mr. Kitchens is happy about this, to have Mr. Graves come on, and we'll see what happens down there with him. There's still a lot of issues going on at some of the HBCUs. Did Alcorn ever?
No. They have not. You talking about Texas Southern, though?
Texas Southern, yes.
Yeah, so they haven't yet. No, sir. They, McNair's out where they hung him out to dry. So that hasn't been resolved yet out there. So that's unfortunate. It seems like we make mistakes and other folks pay for it, which is really hard to deal with.
Yeah.
You want to just like slide over to the NBA and not talk about 73 points that the Hawks gave up to Luka on Saturday, but beating the Lakers by a huge margin on Tuesday. That was here we go. He didn't miss, did he?
He's a great player, but it's not a lot of defense going on in the NBA. But you know what? The scoring average, I think the Pacers are the highest scoring team in the NBA at 100, right at 125 points a game. The Nuggets averaged 128 in the 80s.
Right. Those back in the day. The Nuggets were an aberration back in the 80s because nobody ran like they did.
For sure. And I was asking our buddy Paul Mokeski about this very fact last night on our show, We Got Next. And he was saying one of the reasons you're not allowed to guard now. You can't be physical. You can't let people, you can't put anybody down, as Mo said. And what he meant by that, not letting anybody drive the lane and just lay the ball up in the basket, just like that.
Yeah, there's no such thing there were no flagrant fouls in the 80s.
No, not whatsoever.
Back
Now,
in your day,
Yeah.
that's true.
so I asked him an interesting question, I thought, uh, with LeBron James about to hit the 40,000 point mark. And he said, because it's easier to score today, does that kind of taint what he's been able to do? And Paul was saying no, because he's just playing in the era he's playing. It's not his fault.
You still got to make the shots.
Right. Yeah.
And he started young, right? So does that count
Oh yeah.
into it? Was it like
LeBron, yeah.
He was a kid. I mean,
number of years? Yeah, number of years he's been playing.
Yeah. Because I'm going. You're thinking, looking at. But see, the thing with the Hawks and the.
But that's terrible. That's just terrible defense.
It is. He's just walking through there like
what year it is. Right.
He's just going to the mall. He's walking through Lenox. Let me go pick something up. But the deal is, the what's so painful about this is, and it will always be the measure. The Hawks drafted Luka.
Oh yeah.
For Dallas to trade for Trey, and it's like, and that night when it happened, I said, "That's a mistake. That is a mistake. It's a mistake because that's like this guy right here. If he didn't eat his way out the league, he's taking care of his body this year."
Hey, do you think he comes to Atlanta with a little extra every year?
I don't think he cared. He wanted to be in the NBA. I don't think he really cared.
Okay.
And I think somebody really, because he came in, they came in a day early. I saw him on TNT the night before, and really somebody should have taken him over to Magic City because it was. I mean, there's a problem.
That's not good. That's not good defense, man.
I mean, it was just really lousy to see this guy doing what he's doing. Because he was talking about, they were named the starters last Thursday night, and this was a Friday night game, last Thursday night, and they named the reserves for the All-Star game tonight, and I have them for you. For the West, you have Devin Booker from Phoenix, this guy from Golden State, Steph Curry, heard of him? Okay. Anthony Davis from the Lakers, Anthony Edwards from Minnesota Timberwolves, Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, both from the Clippers, and Karl Anthony Towns also from Minnesota. So that's a pretty strong bench right there on the West. The West is probably going to obliterate the East. The East, go ahead.
No, I'm going to say, they're going to score about 200 points.
Right. They'll do that, and it's going to be brutal. They've gone back to the format where it's West versus the East, none of this picking team players from either side stuff. So it's going to be some conference pride this year. The East reserves are Bam Adebayo from Miami, Paolo Banchero from Orlando. Tree didn't want to hear the rest of that. Jaylen Brown from Boston, Jalen Brunson from the Knicks, Tyrese Maxey from Philadelphia, Donovan Mitchell from Cleveland, and Julius.
Was there something I said?
No, I was just saying that's it. Tree didn't want to hear nothing else about the NBA playoff All-Star game.
Hey,
disappeared.
Do you think, as I said, LeBron's about to eclipse the 40,000 point mark? Will anybody catch him?
No, I don't think anybody will play that long to do it. I'm thinking back in the day, people only had more than one job, and their salaries weren't like they are now. Nobody's gonna stick around and take the abuse. They're gonna take these big fat max contracts and maybe try to be on a super team and roll on, that kind of thing.
I was thinking about that the other night. I'm saying, okay, maybe Steph Curry can get close to that. You know how many points he scored in his career so far?
What's that?
21,000 points.
It looks like a lot because he's taking those threes.
Yeah, I'm like, damn, he's not even halfway there.
Right. Looked like he scored 21,000 points in one season. The way he shoots, he goes on these streaks and you're thinking he's filling the thing up. It's like, it's only 3 points. Reminds me of
the next guy would be Kevin Durant.
Okay.
And this is he's right at 28,000 points. James Harden, 25,000 points. I mean, Dominique Wilkins scored 26,000 points
in his career.
in his career. I thought he would have had more.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean,
Yep.
he was such a brilliant player. I mean, this guy is going to push that number so far out there. It is going to be ridiculous.
Yeah, and it's like it's only going to grow unless he's like he had a really awful night Tuesday night. I never saw him miss as many free throws, but it's like again the Hawks announcer Bob Rathbun said he's got a lot of wisdom in that beard, and this was the second night of a back-to-back.
He looked like an old man.
They were in Houston the night before, and then it seemed like they didn't have any legs.
Yeah.
They looked tired, and the Hawk players were saying, we know that on the second game of a back-to-back, you attack those teams because they didn't get in till 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, something like that. They're tired, didn't practice, and they just go right to the gym. And whatever they have, they have.
Yeah. Hey, but guys, we need to get out of here for the evening. Any final thoughts? Anything that we didn't hit on that you want to hit on before we go?
I got nothing. How about you?
I got nothing.
Good.
Anyone? We're good? All right.
I got nothing. We'll be back at our regular time next week. For my friend Tim Turner and my friend Tree McDougal, I'm Rick Hampton.
All right. Be kind, everybody.
Peace.